We turn now to the incredible story of Lucas Kinney, a British-born Islamic fighter with a Hollywood connection. What could make this son of a Tinseltown filmmaker turn into a member of Al-Qaeda? Joining me in studio is someone who covers Hollywood for TheWrap.com, journalist Itai Had. His work has also appeared in the Daily Beast, Salon, and Out magazine. Itai, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
This is a bizarre, bizarre story. Tell me about his father. Patrick Kinney.
His father, Patrick, was, an assistant director, worked with Steven Spielberg on a number of big blockbusters, including Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. He worked on the Empire of the Sun.
This is not some minor figure in Hollywood.
No, no, no. This is a person that people in Hollywood know very well. And he had a son. A son who didn't exhibit any, radical thoughts, before moving to Vienna. And then
did his son go to school out here?
He grew up here. Then they moved to London. Then his parents divorced. His mother remarried, and then she married a guy who was in the aviation industry. He was like in the airline industry.
Did she marry a Muslim?
Nope, nope. And they moved to Saudi Arabia just days before 9/11. Then they moved to Cairo. But she says even during that time, she didn't see any signs of him becoming a Muslim. It wasn't until he moved back to London. Spent some time in university and then moved to Vienna where his father was. He dropped out of college after about a year. She says that's where he got radicalized. And she says she could tell because she did Skype conversations with him, and she could see the progression of his look, and she could tell that he was becoming a Muslim. She had no idea, by the way, up until Mother's Day of last year that he had joined Al-Qaeda in Syria.
Was he religious before? Was he a Christian before?
Yes, he was a Catholic, Roman Catholic, even talked about wanting to become a priest, which is why the story is so bizarre, right? Someone who grew in a very affluent family. He went to boarding schools and prep schools, and not someone that you would think of as someone who would join Al-Qaeda or any kind of jihad. And I think that's what's so bizarre about this story, because up until now, all the people, and we've been hearing a lot about Europeans who are heeding the call of all these ISIS videos and joining ISIS and joining Al-Qaeda. But most of them, if not all of them, I think, have been Muslims, by birth. This is a person who sort of was a Christian, became a Muslim, came from a very affluent family with big connections in Hollywood. This is not something that you see very often, and I think that's what has a lot of people on edge. So,
Itai, how does the story break?
The story broke because the video came out, and at some point someone realized this is Patrick Kinney's son. And it took a while, but the papers picked it up. The Daily Mail did a big story on it. It was in all the Hollywood trades as well. This is a story that a lot of people sort of looked at and went, where did this come from?
So is he advocating pro-Al-Qaeda, attack America? What is he saying in the video?
The video, he basically, it's a video that was shot in an Al-Qaeda sort of stronghold in Syria that was attacked by ISIS, where he complains about the fact that, his Muslim brothers have been killed by ISIS, and it's a video that's used to recruit people to join Al-Qaeda. So he has become basically the poster boy of people who are not Muslim, white, guy who turns Muslim, and it's used to recruit others to join the fight.
So what's been the reaction of his father, Patrick? What's been the reaction of his mom?
His mom says that she was, of course, flabbergasted. They tried to get him back. She says he didn't want to hear anything about it. She says she knows that he got married. She doesn't think he has any kids, but that's about all she knows.
Did he marry a Muslim woman?
Yes. And as far as she knows. And she doesn't know much about her, but she believes that that he married a Muslim woman. His father declined to comment so far.
How is Hollywood reacting to this story?
Well, of course, everyone's interested in hearing this. This is such a bizarre story that has a lot of people going. Every time there's a story about someone in your community that joins, ISIS, that's a big deal. It's a pretty bizarre story.
What are his acquaintances saying? Friends out here in Hollywood, people that he grew up with, people he went to school with, what are they saying?
So far, no one said anything. I think this story is sort of still developing. People are still sort of digesting the idea of a son of a Hollywood sort of, you know, big-time Hollywood assistant director who's worked on so many big films that we all know of, all of a sudden joining ISIS. And it stands to reason why his father doesn't want to talk right now. I think he too is kind of coming to grips with the fact that his son is there. He got, by the way, his son Lucas was injured during one of the bombings there. Was injured severely apparently. Is now back. You know, the video shows him. He's got spectacles on. He's got a beard. He's talking about the whole, you know, jihad. It's interesting. It's fascinating to watch.
I assume he's changed his name.
Yes, he's got a nom de guerre, Abu Basir al-Britani. That's all we know basically about him right now.
You mentioned that the father's not talking, but at some point did he tell his mother that he had converted to Islam, that he was changing his name? And if so, what did she say or do about it?
Well, she says she gets sporadic emails from him, and they've had a few conversations on Skype. She first noticed it on Skype, but then she said his emails became more and more radical, where he was talking about, you know, recruiting other people and stuff like that. She just doesn't know what to do with it. She tried to get him out of there. She's very worried about him, obviously. She's worried he's going to become a suicide bomber. She says she's worried about possible attacks either from the Russian front or from you know, drone strikes from the UK trying to take him out. She's extremely worried about him. She says the one thing that struck me when I read about it was the fact that she says that she's glad he's part of Al-Qaeda and not ISIS, because that would have been worse. But still, a scary thing.
I kind of thought they had made common cause at some point, the two of them. What is the State Department saying? Has there been a statement by?
So far, nothing from the State Department, as far as I know.
Let's talk a little bit about politics and the primaries right now. Hillary did well, most people think, in the debates. She held up well in the Benghazi hearings. Bernie Sanders, in my opinion, threw her a lifeline when he went, "Enough with the damn emails."
That's very good.
What about the donor class here in Hollywood? Does it appear that they are even more enthusiastic now about Hillary than before?
Yep, yeah, I think you nailed it. Absolutely. I think even though, and we've discussed this before, Hillary Clinton has always enjoyed the support of Hollywood, despite the fact that you know, for months now we've been hearing about the stories about the emails and Benghazi and the private server and the sliding poll numbers. When it comes to Hollywood, she has retained her support. She's always had the support of Hollywood, and if you look at the roster of celebrities who endorse her, it's about, you know, pages long for Hillary, and then there's a few names for all the other candidates. And when it comes to money, it's the same thing, by the way. Out of the $5.5 million that have been donated from the Hollywood community to the candidates, $5 million went to Hillary Clinton. So at $9 out of every $10 went to
I was
Hillary
about
Clinton.
to ask you, are you seeing the same level of enthusiasm for her as Hollywood had for Obama in 2008? I think you've answered that.
I think it's possible that it's even stronger, and I'll tell you why. Because when Obama and Hillary Clinton faced off in 2008, at first it was all about Hillary, as you remember. Then Obama got a lot of really big key endorsements. Oprah, he got an endorsement from Maria Shriver and the Kennedys, and that sort of started shifting that support towards Obama from the Hollywood community. But there were always a lot of people who were supporting Hillary Clinton all the way till the end of that nomination primary. This time around, there is not that one candidate like Obama who is challenging her, at least not on the Hollywood front. And I should say that Bernie Sanders definitely has some supporters in Hollywood. When I first started reporting on the 2016 election, I could barely find one or two people who could get on the phone with me and talk about why they love Bernie Sanders. What I'm finding now is the list has grown exponentially, but still nowhere near what Hillary Clinton has been able to amass in terms of money and supporters. I think for her $5 million, he has about somewhere in the $150,000 that he's gotten from the Hollywood community. As you can see, a very big difference.
Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper now are joined at the hip as far as equal pay is concerned. Bradley Cooper says he's going to fight for her same money. What happens when one becomes more popular than the other?
Well,
how does that work?
in terms of the support?
In terms of money. Let's suppose Jennifer Lawrence becomes a bigger star 2-3 years down the road than Bradley Cooper. Are they still going to fight for equal pay?
I hope not. I mean, isn't the whole point of equality is the fact that you don't look at the sex and you just look at how popular they are and how much money can they really bring by starring in a movie. I think that's where everything is sort of headed. But Jennifer Lawrence definitely made a big splash with that, op-ed that she wrote following that Sony attack. A lot of people in Hollywood talking about it. I think she took a really big stand there.
I heard Amy Pascal at some meeting after she had gotten canned from Sony said, look, I run a business. You want to take less money, I'm going to pay you less money. This is a woman talking about paying a woman less money.
And it's interesting that you say that because Jennifer Lawrence, when she wrote that op-ed, one of the first things she said in that op-ed was, I'm not mad at
I'm
Amy
not a victim.
Pascal.
I'm not a victim.
I'm mad at myself because I agreed to those terms. And I think that was part of the reason why she wrote that op-ed. She wanted to make sure that people knew that it's not okay, but also you have to ask for what you think you deserve. And I think that opened up her eyes a lot when she saw that email.
And that's why I was kind of surprised at Bradley Cooper's stance. I know he did it to be gallant, but you know how careers are in Hollywood. They go up, they go down. And if your career goes down, how are you going to demand to have the same money as somebody whose career is on the ascension?
Right. I guess you have to look at the time that those movies were shot, right? So we're talking about, American Hustle, that whole time period. Right. Jennifer Lawrence arguably is one of the biggest stars in that movie,
and bigger than Bradley Cooper.
Probably, they're very they're in the same sort of bracket there. But obviously, she came off an Oscar win. She had an Oscar nomination, I believe, for American Hustle. So she was definitely the disparity between the salaries was evident. Right. There was no reason for that disparity, and I think a lot of
other than Amy Pascal was running a business.
Right.
Itai, thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
For more of Itai's reporting, check out his articles on therap.com or follow him on Twitter under the handle @ItaiHod.